as I command thee. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Your ego is astounding.
Gabriel. Figures. And the wicked shall inherit the earth.
You judging me now, John?
Betrayal, murder, genocide. Call me provincial.
I am simply seeking to inspire mankind to all that was intended.
By handing earth over to the son of the devil. Help me here.
You're handed this precious gift, right? Each one of you granted redemption from the Creator. Murderers, rapists, and molesters. All of you. You just have to repent. And God takes you into his bosom. In all the worlds, in all the universe, no other creature can make such a boast, save man. It's not fair. If sweet, sweet God loves you so, then I'll make you worthy of his love. I've been watching you for a long time. It's only in the face of horror that you truly find your noblest self. And you can be so noble. So, I'll bring you pain. I'll bring you horror. So that you may rise above it. So that those of you who survive this reign of hell on earth will be worthy of God's love.
Gabriel, you're insane.
The road to salvation begins tonight. Right now.
Hell on Earth on this episode of Destructomundo.
It's on, it's on. There's no sound. Play with the rabbit ears.
Reports, incredible as they seem, are not the results of mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. What do they think we're imagining all this?
Destructomundo.
Witnesses to the effect that people who acted as though they were in a kind of trance were killing and eating their victims prompted authorities to examine the bodies of some of the victims. Medical authorities in Cumberland have concluded that in all cases the killers are eating flesh of the people they murdered. Repeating this, latest bulletin, just missing bullets from Cumberland, Maryland. Civil defense authorities have told me that murder victims show evidence of having been partially devoured by their murderers.
Hell on Earth.
Yeah. Like having a really bad job and having to go to it every day for the rest of your
I'm sure
life.
there's plenty of people who feel it's already here, but obviously, as bad as things may seem, obviously it could be much worse.
It could be like Doom. Or Doom 3.
Oh, it could indeed.
You skipped right over Doom 2.
Yeah, he skipped over Doom 2. Extra levels of Doom. You totally had to have like a hoppin' 486 to run Doom, too.
Electric Boogaloo?
Everything, too. It's Electric Boogaloo, indeed.
As it should be.
But yeah, Doom's quite the...
That was actually Hell on
It's
Mars.
Hell on Mars, right? Yeah. Way to go off topic there.
It's a whole nother planet.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother Destructomundo.
Yeah.
But,
Well, that's the whole dimensional gate, like opening, unleashing hell kind of thing.
yeah.
That's like a really incredibly common theme.
It is.
Movies and books and...
Especially like with the ones in space. Did you see Event Horizon?
No.
That's
I saw part of it, actually.
actually
Well,
creepy movie. With
Well, I was gonna say, like, there's that concept of like what, something extra dimensional. It's so alien and so beyond our sort of basic level of comprehension and what we think of as in terms of the world and reality, that it's perceived as supernatural. And I guess there's that, there's that concept of like if, earlier times when people were even less scientifically based in their understanding of things than we are now, then obviously
the primitives,
yeah, the Christians, people that so they're only under, since they have no way to if they had encounters with something like that, obviously their only way to interpret it is automatically to sort of assume that it's supernatural. So I guess there's that concept of like the whole that hell and the imagery of hell and all that. It might not be so much supernatural as like sort of extra dimensional,
Right.
And that concept, you know what I'm saying? Like if
it brings
if you there could be like an actual physical basis for certain parts of it that
Right. Well, it brings into context the idea of a physical hell without it actually being a spiritual hell.
Yeah.
It makes it more based in scientific reality that there might be a dimension where like hell-like conditions are present, therefore being like the proverbial hell, or the hell from religious fiction and books like Paradise Lost and the Inferno, more so than the Bible, if you want to call that religious fiction.
I was gonna say,
we're gonna get hate mail now. And
one of the older Hebrew terms for like, a hell originally referred to basically Jerusalem's garbage dump. Where they would burn their
Gehenna
trash. It was Gehenna, yeah. Okay.
Right. Where they burned all the trash.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine it smelled pretty bad, and I mean anybody working there probably talked about how hellish it was, so I can imagine.
Well, I always thought that was kind of cool about the one of the, I don't know how most people feel about this movie, but I thought it was entertaining. But Constantine.
Yeah, I thought so too. I was entertained by it.
That version, like where he goes to hell or visits it or whatever.
Right.
It looks like a trashed like city, basically.
Right. Well, it's exactly what it is here, only like destroyed, burned, with like demons crawling around it, and with like cars lit on fire and buildings burning, and it's supposed to remind you of what you lived in before.
Yeah.
In the destruction and all. I assume is for effect. More than anything else, because he never went to heaven or anything, so it's not like heaven was a even better looking version of L.A.
Orange County.
Yeah. Hey, it's so great. The
like,
weather's nice here. It never rains. What's the deal?
But yeah, well, I guess
that
looks
like ancient Athens. That's a
I
scientific fact.
Looks like Logan's Run. It's all like clean white plastic.
Right.
And no bras.
And no bras.
No bras. Hell no. There wouldn't be
and everyone
bras
lives in a
heaven.
mall. And you never grow old. I'd say, I guess the sort of the component of like you were saying, it reminds you of how what you used to live in, what it used to be like. I guess there's that element. There has to be the essential element of torment. Otherwise, it's not hell.
Right.
If it's just boring, that's not quite hell. I mean, it has to. There's that concept of torment and the torture and cruelty. So I guess that's why with the concept of like hell on earth, I guess it has to be. There's the element of the sort of the unleashed, the armies of hell and the destruction and all this stuff, because I guess people being basically materialistic.
Right.
The only way to torture them is to tear up all their shit.
Well, sure.
when you smash up everything and burn everything,
Right.
and take away all the stuff that they've worked so hard to buy and accumulate, and suddenly
broke
it's
all
all
my stuff.
You trashed
the
my
horror.
car.
The
My car's
horror.
all these demons smashed my fucking car.
Yeah.
Look at that. My giant, 8-bedroom house. It's all on fire and covered in blood. This is fucking hell. Damn it, I worked hard for all this stuff, and now it's all on fire and covered in blood. God damn it, That's hell on earth. I mean, these demons and devils burning
They're all manners of lesser imps and demons, Delmar.
So.
But the devil himself is red and scaly, a bifurcated tail, carries a hay fork.
So. Well, there's, hell like anything. I mean, there's a hierarchy to it all. There's
sure.
Everything has its own chain of command, and
There's your
there's
demons. And
there's
lesser
there's
demons
an
and-
ecosystem. It'll all find its own place and time.
Some of the middle management of hell includes such luminaries as Asmodeus and Beelzebub and who's some of the other ones?
They're both devils.
Yeah, but they're greater devils, and then there's lesser
Lesser
devils. They're middle management, man. I mean, there's the big guy, and then there's everybody else.
Well, it's all been so convoluted through the absorption of. So I mean, the word Satan comes from a Semitic word, shaitan, which is more closely related
Which is
to Arabic.
tasty. Have you ever had like shaitan or no? It's satan. It's a
No, but he used to play for the Jersey Devils.
satan.
Shaitan.
There's a
He
like
played for the Devils.
it's like a curd called seitan. It's like a
curd.
It's like a bean curd sort of deal. It's kind of like tofu. It's real tasty. Though.
Never
it's
had
really
it.
good stuff. I had some like jerk chicken made from it at a restaurant once. It was really good, but you had to order it like that. It was like, I'd like the jerk seitan, please.
Well, I was gonna say it's like, I mean, obviously every civilization has its own, particular spin on hell.
Right. I mean, hell is a common
and there's that, and often there's the idea of it, and obviously it represents the ultimate.
It's like chaos.
Yeah, I mean, it's the opposite. It's meant to be this dramatic, absolute opposite.
Right.
Of everything you want. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's so it represents like, this is where you don't want to be. This is where you don't want to go. This is what you don't want life to be.
Right.
And
then they go and slap eternity on it. Like not only do you get this, which is bad, but you get it forever.
Yeah. I mean, I was just gonna say, it's like, even though the details different, they may differ here and there, but I mean it. The general concept of it.
Well, I worked in a place last year that I hated tremendously, and it seemed like the place was designed as a layer of hell. It was very hot. It was a hot summer here, and they had
it was
fans
so hot
blowing.
that the predators came.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right.
Only in the hottest years.
But there were fans set up in the building, and they would literally be above your head, blowing on like an area behind you, like in the middle of the floor where nobody was, and like you couldn't get anybody to come out and like change the position of the fan or anything. I'm just thinking, man, like I don't know much from a lake of fire. Or, and we would also have to work like 10 hours a day, but they wouldn't tell us until like later in the day. They go,
Sure.
oh yeah, today's a 10-hour day.
Yeah.
Or today is a 12-hour day. Sometimes they do that to us too. But, yeah, it was very hell-like. And I remember telling somebody, I was like, look, I don't know much from lakes of fire, and brimstone and all that stuff, but, if a good solid preacher told me that this was what hell was like, I'd get right with God, because like I do not want to spend much more time in here at all, let alone eternity.
The one that it's been a while since I've read it, but the one that they in the Odyssey, it wasn't really hell, but I don't think the ancient Greeks really had a hell. They had an underworld.
Well, they had Hades.
Hades was the god of the underworld.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what
But like when they actually in the Odyssey they go to the underworld to talk to Achilles, and it's basically they're just like standing around and they're all really bored. There's no real torment, but they're just like pale shadows of what they used to be.
Don't like some of them get tormented though? I mean,
I'm just going from what I remember of the Odyssey.
Seems now Hades isn't the name of hell; it's the underworld, and Hades is a god of the underworld. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
Hades was the Greek
seems
counterpart
like that
to Pluto.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. But I mean, I thought Hades was also the name of like the land of the dead.
He wasn't necessarily evil either.
No.
I mean he was just like the god of the underworld, and he was kind of morose.
Well, none of the gods were very good. I mean, other than like maybe Mercury, and or really,
Athena.
it was Hermes, and Mercury was the counterpart to.
And Apollo, and well, sometimes even he got kind of nasty, but it seems like Athena didn't. But anyway,
Yeah.
but it seemed like when they talked about it in the Odyssey, it was just like it wasn't a place of torment. It was, but I mean, I guess like boredom.
But yeah, I say it wasn't the sort of the paradise where you're, the green fields.
Yeah, it wasn't Elysian fields
And you're being fed grapes by virgins all day long.
Oh man,
that
that's the way to
stuff.
live.
Well,
I
yeah.
don't know, I
but-
get tired of grapes.
I get tired of virgins.
But yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like that sort of concept too. But I guess that the it represents this. Like I said, what you don't want. So obviously, the concept of it coming here to this world and destroying everything you have
Right.
is, I guess, it's one thing. I guess you live your whole life, do whatever, and then you go to hell. Like that would be bad. But then,
Sure.
but then for it to all come here extra early and ruin all your plans.
And not only would they have bust up all your stuff, but then there would be these otherworldly creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on which version of, especially a Christian hell that you're going to go with. You go with the old Miltonian one where they're just fallen evil angels, which would be bad because there'd be like these seemingly perfect beings doing really bad shit to you.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you when they started to turn the different denizens of hell into various
Monsters that eat your
and,
entrails and then throw them back up at you while you're watching.
And then it all looks like one of those Bosch paintings. And
Yeah.
or that one from the Player's Handbook.
Hieronymus
Paladin-
Bosch. I love
Paladin goes to
Hieronymus
hell.
Bosch. He's one of my favorite painters, as a matter of fact. Hieronymus Bosch.
Which one from Player's Handbook?
It's on the other side of the Paladin, and it's Paladin goes to hell, and it's the
Paladin.
Didn't
He's in
somebody
the
get
plate
a
armor.
big back tattoo of that?
No,
Well, that's-
Jeremiah was talking about.
Oh
it.
yeah.
He
I
says
have, I have to pay for it if I win the lottery.
Yeah,
dude, that's the
he'll
shit.
get Paladin's descent into hell.
Right.
Tattooed. I don't remember what's opposite that.
It's just like info on the Paladin.
Oh,
character.
okay. Paladin's descent.
I
into
remember though the whole plane guide. Remember that had like the
hell. Oh yeah, yeah.
Manual of the Planes.
yeah, and then it had like all of the planes, and it had like Gehenna,
Several had. Well, some were only one level. Some planes had multiple levels.
but it had
Yeah.
like Limbo. Limbo was in there. Is Limbo actually considered
Limbo
to
was
be
purgatory.
Like the purgatory? But Limbo, I thought described like a like where the Hindus. Isn't Limbo a Hindu?
And well, it depends on what cosmology really you're talking about. I mean, then, like I was talking about earlier, like in the whole Dante thing, purgatory and limbo are the same place. And
Okay.
actually, limbo was the very, very. It was like the antechamber in the Inferno, because that's where all the.
The waiting room.
Yeah, it was like the.
Like
it
the
was,
waiting room for hell.
It was nothing bad was happening, but it was where all the the good Jews went. You know,
See, that's
they called them like something patriarchs.
That's my
Honored
favorite
patriarchs.
curse. My favorite curse is "I'll see you in hell." Like, you know,
It was like where all the good people who weren't baptized Christians were.
So they weren't going to go to heaven.
Unless they were taken up into heaven on the harrowing of hell, in which it was like the second day. It was one of the days right after Jesus ascended into heaven, and then
when he got back in his spaceship and took off.
Yeah, and he went down to hell and got up like Moses and Abraham and all those guys.
Started a band.
Of course.
We're getting the band back together.
But that's called the harrowing of hell.
So everybody knows that rock music is from the devil, even
The
Christian
devil.
rock music. Christian rock music is just so awful. I
That's-
can imagine like hell being.
I was
going
going to say that's hell. That's hell on earth right there.
Yeah, that's hell on earth.
No doubt about
Man,
it.
but there are no more rabid fans than fucking Christian rock fans. If you see like those commercials where they're playing, you know, Christian rock and those, you know, like the boy band Christian rock and the girls, and they're just like eyes are closed and swaying back and forth.
Because not only are they
it's
fans
hard.
of music, but they're also
Fans of Jesus.
they're in a religious. Well, I don't know if you want to
Fervor?
say stupor, but fervor, yes.
Right.
But
Religious stupor. Dude, I was so fucked up on God last night.
I fell down. I think I broke a toe. I was so high on Jesus, I broke a
I'm
toe.
hungover. I can't go to church today, man.
No, I was so
Really.
high on Jesus, man. I ate a whole bag of chips.
Oh, man.
Right on.
Yeah.
But I think that
Boy, I can't get enough of that body of Christ.
I think that all the Western view of like, you know, demons with like pointy head or pointy, you know, horns and all that crap. I think that a lot of that comes from like non-Christian
Jews
like influence. I was thinking more of like
with the horns.
And the claws and the fangs and the tails and the wings.
Oh, man.
Actually, I think it mostly comes from that's that area, but I think it comes from like Arabic, you know, like the whole thing about genies and jinns and all that.
Oh, right.
They had like
yeah.
tons of demons.
Well, there's a lot of like early like Jewish mysticism and early Muslim mysticism that is all based around that kind of idea of there being like monsters and things outside of those that are actually written about in like the Quran and in the Bible and the Torah, and they're like the whole idea of like golems and stuff like that, and you know.
Yeah. But then, I mean, you get a lot of that stuff brought in from, you know, influenced various societies.
Yeah.
From like, especially, I mean, the Hindus have some really crazy looking demons. I mean, not you know, everybody thinks of like the multi-armed god and stuff, but their demons are really crazy looking. And that, I think we get a lot of our influence from them.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I would say like that. There's that idea that, you know, if it, the way that, you know, if they, the different cultures, different societies interpret, you know, they may have experienced something and they filter it through their cultural,
like a sandstorm is a demon
way, and you know,
Right,
and
right.
then, you know, perceive it in some way. But that idea, like we were talking about with if something like Doom, to where, you know, a alien, either extraterrestrial or extra dimensional, you know, life form, when it was a culture that, you know, couldn't even conceive of the idea of that, obviously, you know, it's instantly interpreted as something supernatural,
Right.
you know, and the sort of general fear of the unknown, I guess, you know, is whatever you don't know, it gets sort of demonized. It's, you know, so that idea of like that there could actually be real, actual physical creatures, you know, as like the counterparts to things that are parts of mythology and parts of religious.
Right. Well, a lot of times when they consider like a multi-dimensional hell-like dimension, encountering that, our plane of existence, they try to, show that it has happened before, or more or less, where like, these things do exist and have been here before, but in a very limited manner, and this is the time, especially in a lot of like movies, this is the time where they're gonna get here and stay, they're not gonna get sit back where they came from whence they came, but you get like the best is the gate is the best.
Is that the one with the little bitty demons? And
yeah,
like in somebody's backyard.
Yeah, there's the hole in the guy's backyard.
They get the album, right? They get the album that's with the band, and I can't think of the name of the band. What is the name of the band?
I don't know.
Oh my God,
it's been a long time.
We need our fact checker. Jason was going to fact check for us. I forgot to call him and told him about the show tonight. Sorry, Jason. But yeah, we need the band name. I'll probably end up like finding it and putting it as the end theme tonight.
Yeah, it won't be hard to find.
The song at the end of because it's got the little red-haired kid, and he's into like demon bands.
Yeah,
and
they
stuff,
have like they have the demon scary heavy metal album.
Right, and and then there's the thing in the backyard because they figure out how to call. They do something. Because otherwise, everybody who played the album would have it happen. But they do something to make it like happen. Because he's like the nerdy.
There's like something.
Like,
it's like there's
kid that figures it out.
There's something in like the liner notes.
Yeah.
Because they're reading something out of the album over the hole in the ground.
Yeah, and it actually creates the gate to hell, and it starts smoking.
But it's all like the little nerd kids, and they're like. Parents are out of town or something, and they're having the sleepover.
Yeah, it's his sister. The guy, because the guy in it is the guy from it's not Brad Dourif, but
no, it's
Steven Dorff. It is. It's Steven Dorff. He's the guy from Blade. He plays the bad vampire dude in Blade.
Steven Dorff, yes.
But he's like a little kid in it.
He's not that redheaded guy who's on the I don't even know if it's still on the sitcom. It's called like For Life or something like that. It's about some guy and his wife and their kids.
No, that's
Married for Life or something.
No,
like
that's not Steven.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
No, that's not Steven.
You're talking about Grounded for Life?
Grounded for Life, yeah.
Married for Life. God, imagine the horror of that. Then that's hell on earth. Get married forever. God, the whole idea, like people like do that too. And I hate to out myself as like a terrible, not romantic, but
I think it's a beautiful institution.
Marriage.
I think it's a wonderful, magical, beautiful institution.
The whole idea of like
I can't wait to get married.
Love
so I can have
everlasting.
I know. I really want to discover what sex is like. I look forward to finding a beautiful Christian woman and marrying her and sharing a life together, and I can finally have sex.
That's a hell of a lofty goal there.
I know.
Actually. I understand.
It's God's will. It's not my choice. It's God's will.
God wants you to have sex
with a beautiful, loving Christian woman.
Hell yeah, He does. He wants you to have beautiful, loving Christian sex.
No, it's very, very robotic and mechanical.
Have you heard about the Christian porn? Like there is like actual.
Yes.
It's actual Christian porn between like married
couples,
and they're doing it like
I saw I found a
porn.
link somewhere to the website for Christian sex toys.
Like I've seen crosses and stuff like that.
No,
like
it's not that. No, it's sex toys, but they're packaged and marketed in ways that aren't crass, and they're like sex toys, but like apparently
it's like Jesus holding a
coffin. No, but I mean it was like stuff to where it wasn't really explicit and vulgar. You know,
I got you. But there's sexual aids.
Yeah, and they're not called cock rings. You know, they had like a slightly different name. No, I mean they weren't like covered in, you know, crosses or pictures of Jesus' head. You know, they weren't Christian in that sense, but they were marketed for people who didn't want. They didn't have pictures of naked people on the packaging.
Oh, okay.
You know, they didn't have like explicit references to sexual practices.
It wasn't like a casting of some famous porn star's cock.
No. And the 18-inch double-ended black tower was called something else. I don't know. But
because you know that's still around because it's a party favorite.
Anyway, you were talking about marriage. You were saying bad things about marriage.
I was mentioning that like the whole idea of like love everlasting sounds pretty hardcore to me. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's, I don't know. Like I dearly adore all the women, you know, to all the girls I've loved before, that kind of thing. But I do not want to spend eternity with any of them. I'm sorry. I mean, I just, you know, hey, baby, I think you're great. I think a good 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, maybe even possible, you know, 50 years. Could be pulling off 50 years and saying, you're my one and only. But, you know, 50 years and eternity are a hell of a lot of difference in time. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can even pull off, like, a 60-year marriage, you're in good company. You know, like, you know, a lot of people can't do that. But the people, you know, the hell, word to the person that can do a 60-year marriage. But, you know, the reality of it is that if you're in a 60-year marriage, a lot of it's probably like just well, I don't think I can live, you know, I'm a housewife.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm sure you're not like blissfully happy for 60 years straight.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of it is just.
I'm just guessing that once, you know, like, okay, I'm just all right. Just as a timeline here, 60 years. All right, yes, you have some differences, but you're able to get along with one another, and you're doing okay. 400 or 500 years, maybe you have a few like irks about one another, to where, you know, maybe things aren't going so well. And when you get to like 3,000 and 4,000 years, you haven't even really touched on like what eternity really is. I mean, even if you go back as far as the dinosaurs, like you still don't even get like a very good concept of what eternity means. And I'm just thinking that the whole idea of like eternity with another person.
I think a lot of the
because sooner or later you're going to get tired of the tang.
I'll say like a lot of the concepts, like he was saying earlier about Hades and that stuff, is like, I say a lot of the concepts of hell, beyond like the sort of the grotesque physical torment stuff, a lot of it is the sort of the monotony. You know, it is like the overwhelmingly like sort of painfully mundane, like emptiness type of thing. You know, you're not being stabbed with hot pokers and
I think a lot of that comes from the Inquisition, probably.
Yeah, I mean that type of stuff. Like
definitely.
You know, a lot of it. You know, a lot of it.
Well, they're made from like actual physical tortures that people with. You know, there a lot of stuff that like, you know, we don't experience much today. You know, tortures. Like, obviously, things like waterboarding have been in the news. You know, where you try to drown a person,
it's
but
like swimming.
You know, it is.
No, I was going to say, like a lot of it.
But we've done some pretty awful stuff to people.
Aside from that, aside from like the grotesque, torturous side of it, you know, a lot of it is that idea of just it's not so much the infliction of pain and torment as the denial of pleasure and happiness.
Right.
It's just this sort of endless, gray, empty
nothing. Right.
To where, like, the people in heaven, it's all beautiful and green and sunshine and they're happy and all that, you know. And there's this, it's just, you're denied anything that's sort of remotely satisfying and pleasant.
You get 4 channels.
But then, yeah, with the
PBS on a Sunday.
The stuff, like
Man, Sunday's one of the better days for PBS.
Is it? I'm not a big
Nova's
PBS
on Nova's
watcher
on Sunday night.
Nova's is on Sunday
Well, you got This
nights.
Old
You're right
House.
about that.
You got all the This Old House ones.
But yeah, I mean, there's then I guess the later, with the really sort of the with things like the Inquisition, you get that sort of the concept of hell as torture and torment, and you're being punished, like physically, punished for eternity.
Well, that was used to sell heaven.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's over. It's so dramatic in its interpretation.
Right. Well, I'll take this chance to take a break, and we'll be back after these messages. Hello, listeners. This is James from Destructomundo podcast. We would like to ask you to take some time to reflect on what our quality programming means to you. Our programming that we provide for free to you, our loyal listeners, comes with a price. Adam has to be lured in to do the show with the promise of many hams, sausages, and bacon goods. Ted has to be driven in a horse-drawn chariot to our studios in order to perform in his accustomed manner. Jeremiah has his midget entourage. I'm sorry, they prefer to be called prostitutes. Derek must have blood, gallons and gallons of blood. All of this keeps our production costs high, and although we have tightened our belts during this economic downturn, we would like to ask for your support in helping keep this level of quality programming coming to you by asking that you visit www.destructomundopodcast.com and clicking on the Google ads on the right side of the page. It only takes a minute. It can mean so much to a starving child like Consuela here. Please don't turn your back on Consuela and the thousands of other children like her that need your help. Thank you for your time and your mouse clicks.
Variant Frequencies, your speculative fiction dial. Find us at www.variantfrequencies.com. Variant Frequencies is a podcast that stretches the entire bandwidth of genre fiction, modulated by a constant element of the fantastic. Every month, we give you a new story, so tune in, turn the volume up, and let some of our weird carrier waves distort your reality for just a little while.
Okay, we're back. And,
better than ever.
Better than ever. After that wonderful commercial break.
So,
from our sponsors.
Buy the products that our sponsors sell.
Indeed. Crisco.
So, to get to the actual meat of the subject of Hell on Earth, assuming that you're unfortunate enough to be here when it happens, say there's a hole in your backyard where they were digging the in-ground pool, and one of the neighborhood kids happens to open the gate.
Right. Because it's on the Indian burial ground.
In the hole in the ground in your backyard on the Indian burial ground where they were putting your in-ground pool.
Yep.
And he read some liner notes on a metal album and opened the gate to hell. Or, there's some girl who's part of a prophecy and something, I don't know, and
yeah, and she wants to have sex with you and open up seals.
Something, I don't know. That kind of stuff. Say,
if the baby's being born that is not going to have a soul because the well of souls in heaven is empty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I forgot about that. And then,
yeah. And
then, or if you're here when the false prophet and the Antichrist, who are two different people, show up and they create, their hell on earth.
Right. Yeah.
Before the actual, the actual apocalypse.
Yeah. Well, then we'll know that's going to happen because all the people will have disappeared.
Yeah, all the good Christians will be gone. Whoosh. That'll be heaven.
I know.
When all the Christians are gone? Yeah. That'll be heaven on earth.
Then you'll see somebody that you think they're out to be all pious and they'll still be around you and go, ha ha. You're probably a ped or something.
So, if you are unfortunate enough, if you're, if it happens and you're here, I guess the question is, what can you do?
Well, fighting demons.
I was say for me, it comes down to what I was saying earlier. Are they just something unearthly, or are they full blown supernatural? Because if they're just from another dimension, whatever, you can probably still shoot them.
Right.
You know, but if they're like full-blown supernatural shit, you know,
you'd be like Solomon Kane and have like a sword and a couple of muskets and like.
Me, I'm gonna have a shotgun and an ice axe and a machete. You know, but
I've got a stone hatchet.
Blast them back to hell from whence they came.
A cigar jammed in the corner of my mouth with a shotgun in one hand and a ice axe.
I was saying earlier, though, that is my absolute favorite curse, and I hope it's my last words. I'll see you in hell. Because we were talking about that and how, like, you know, there'll be some long, drawn-out version of that.
It's wonderfully
samurai films.
It's succinct and rude and poetic all at the same time.
Right.
You know, it says so much of just like, you know, it's like, I'm going to hell. I know that. I've accepted that. But I know you're going too. It's just that
I'm going first.
Fate has chosen me to go first, but I know you're doomed to go there sooner or later. And I fucking hate you so much that I'm going to be sitting there waiting for you when you show up, ever how long it takes. So, and that whatever problems that these two, whatever trouble, I had with you in this life, it ain't over, and I'm ready to wait in hell forever how long it takes for you to show up, and we'll continue this.
Right.
And it pretty much says all of that. Like, I'll see you in hell.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It is indeed my favorite curse, just because of that. Yep. Because you can't escape the hate that I have for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what. Because
it's.
But what if you ended up in heaven? You were like, oh, well, what do you know?
You can still see him.
What if you saw him in heaven? What if you were just incorrect about your orientation and you were like, well, I'm a bad man and I'm gonna go to hell and I'll see you in hell, and then you ended up in heaven, but you were kind of like.
But then just before you died, you like ran out into traffic to save a puppy.
Yeah, or something, and got sent to heaven. And
or like a little.
And they did too.
Or like a little blind orphan girl.
The scales didn't quite tip, towards the.
And all of your years of whoring and murdering and white slaving and piracy
white slaving
were swept aside because you ran out into traffic to save a puppy and a blind orphan girl,
or a blind orphan puppy,
and then you
erased all that white slaving,
all the years of murder, piracy, rape, and white slaving.
Well, you just be Catholic and ask for forgiveness.
Well, where's the fun in that? But
hey, I'm sorry I did all that stuff. It's cool.
Suddenly you're Captain Gentleman Duncan Brown.
Can't just be sorry. You have to say you're sorry to a priest.
Yeah, but I mean, what if you did?
Then
I'm sorry I slaved.
Sorry, all the
stuff that I've done.
His list is 10 times as long.
Skull thumping.
Knocking over that Piggly Wiggly. You said you didn't do that. I lied about that. And I'm forgiven for that too.
Oh, yeah.
But when the legions of hell are unleashed upon Earth.
Well, how would the legions of hell be unleashed? I mean, we've all what are some of the prime examples of the ways that hell?
Well, I mean, is it in the sort of classical Christian, devil hell sense? Is it? I don't know much of this stuff because. Does he
go to Sunday school?
No. Is that a robot? Does he have any desire? Is it Satan's desire to unleash hell on Earth?
I think that maybe it is.
What does he have to gain from
that? Torturing humanity before they get thrown in hell. And
is that part of his master plan?
I don't know. I mean,
according to Revelations,
is that on the big board?
And
they're like
the war room in hell.
Apparently, they're like
we can't let them in here. They'll see the big board.
But I mean, is that part of his master plan? to unleash hell on Earth?
Obviously, I mean, I'm not a biblical scholar, but from what I understand in Revelations, they're like, and from watching Pat Robertson, they're like three
You know
different.
he can like press like 1,000 pounds with his legs or something.
Who? Pat Robertson?
Pat Robertson, he drinks. He's got some like Christian energy drink that he swears by.
Jesus juice?
I don't know. He markets it. It's like some Christian protein shake, and he can like leg press 1,000
Pat
pounds.
Robertson is the best because
I don't know. Anyway,
he
I'm
does
sorry.
that whole thing with his show, and he's like he'll say the most awful things while he's like giggling. He'll be like, "Clearly, these people are going to hell."
Anyway,
you know, like that, and I was like, what kind of horrible thing is that to say to somebody and then laugh while you're doing it? I mean, that just seems maniacal to me.
But okay, I'm sorry.
But they're like, they talk about like their different stages to Revelations. Everybody pretty much, of course, because we're, you know, in the Western world, just kind of want the quickie version. But there are like several different minor apocalypses in the book of the Apocalypse. You know, it's not just you break the seventh seal and the four horsemen of the apocalypse come out and it's over. There are like a bunch of different, you know, like I said, there's the false prophet, then there's the Antichrist, and they rule the earth for X number of years, and you know they torment people. I mean, it's not like a hell on earth, literally, because it's actual physical torment.
Yeah.
Of the people who don't have the sign, which is either, you know, like some people say it's the 666 or the barcode or whatever you want to call it. And
they
then
did that as a joke. Like the guys from MIT knew that the barcode was going to end up on everything and ended up doing that. I think we said that in Revelations in our Antichrist show.
I wasn't here for that.
Yeah.
But and then will actually be like, you know, different people see it different ways, but some people say it, you know, like they'll have political control over everybody and it'll be a police state and it's
Hey.
yada yada yada, and then
there'll be cameras everywhere. We won't be able to take liquids on airplanes.
And there'll be secret prisons and
secret prisons,
physical torture like waterboarding.
Hey,
it's like swimming.
So there, I mean, that's
you get no cigars.
That's crazy talk.
That's one of the versions of like hell on earth, and it'll be like somebody, you know, the false prophet, the prince or whatever they call him, will be in charge.
Oh. Okay.
Of the so many nations, which some people think is NATO or the EU, and then they'll, you know, it'll be
CETO, man.
It's no longer in effect.
CETO?
No.
What is CETO?
Southeast Asia Treaty Organization.
CETO.
Oh.
It was us, Australia, New Zealand, Korea, Japan.
We're not in Southeast Asia.
We're not. Part of us are.
Well,
Hawaii, Guam.
I mean, come on. Guam.
Are they going to Lincoln Log?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, brown eye.
Okay.
I don't see that every day.
Stop watching Skinamax while we record the show. What is this called? We'll have to
Co-ed Confidential.
Co-ed Confidential.
We're only watching this because
Destructomundo
Busting Cops 2 is coming on right after.
Yep, there you go.
So this episode of Destructomundo is brought to you by. Wow, they are Lincoln Log.
There we go.
Co-ed Confidential and Skinamax. We're all the.
You know, I don't think if somebody had started making faces like that when I was having sex with them, I'd finish and then I'd just laugh at them.
I do that every time. I don't know where you get it. I laugh at them, throw them a 20 and leave. It's my way of doing things.
Oh my.
She just lick her own knee.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. She's so hot she had to lick herself. Anyway.
She's tasty chocolate. That's why. Anyway, yes. But yeah, some of the... getting back to this...
What about the hell on earth from Big Trouble in Little China?
Hey, that's... Yeah. Yeah.
How of being skinned alive.
They got a lot of hells in...
6-demon bag. The
Yeah.
what? 6-demon bag.
Black blood of the earth? You mean oil? No, I mean black blood of the earth.
It's genius. That's good
The
stuff.
hell of being skinned alive, and then there's the There's all kinds of hells in Chinese myth.
But I think, that's the sort of just that idea of like someone. I think a lot of it is there's that, not necessarily the devil, but this sort of evil, evil person kind of wanting to bring, that
to the rest
like they have some sort of a connection to this otherworldly evil power that they get power from, and their mission is to like let it loose here into our world.
Hellraiser.
I was thinking more like in The Golden Child, but the best Eddie Murphy movie ever.
No, Pluto Nash.
No, dude, it's the 80s. He's at the peak of his career, and he makes a movie with a bald-headed Tibetan kid, and like the chosen one, and Tibetan mythology, and he's a child social worker fighting demons.
Thing with the wheel where he starts spinning,
and he's scratching on the wheel in the monastery in Tibet, dude.
I don't think I've ever seen The Golden Child. I don't think I have.
I mean, if you take, it's like
Eddie Murphy from the 80s. How do you not see that? No,
I mean, it's
more
like
Coming to America,
and it's not like he made it when he was a nobody or like way after his peak and he was desperate for something. I mean, it's Eddie Murphy like in the 80s, and he made a movie where he's a like L.A. social worker fighting demons and all this fucking weird like shit with Tibetan mythology. Anyway, but yes, but that's pretty much what that's about. But yeah, you've got these people sort of like trying to their mission here on Earth is to sort of open the door for their master on the other side, type of shit. Like,
well, there's a lot of that.
That type of stuff, but and so much of it, for lack of a better, because I think because it is the sort of unknown thing, it sort of becomes, it's just referred to as hell, right? Because it's something that is so far beyond the sort of basic, fundamental comprehension, and like I said, those sort of beings that are called devils, called demons, just because they don't really know what the hell they are, that type of idea.
Right.
There's a lot of that stuff, but then they come here and you just, can you shoot them? Can you blow them up? Can you hit them in the forehead with an ice axe? You never know.
Well, there's in the sense of like bringing a master into this universe from the universe of the hell dimension.
Ghostbusters?
Yeah, there's Ghostbusters and bringing in Gozer, the Gozerian.
Prince of Darkness.
In Prince of Darkness.
Hellboy?
But Gozer the Gozerian.
Hellboy.
Hellboy, definitely.
Yeah, Gozer.
Gozer.
Vince Clortho.
Vince Clortho.
The Keymaster of Gozer. That's excellent.
Gozer the Gozerian.
Excellent stuff.
Need to exit this dimension and to the nearest extra dimensional. What do they say?
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Maybe on.
Are you a god? No.
Between I am Vince Clortho, Keymaster of Gozer. Are you the gatekeeper? That's good stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Were you going to cite a particular example?
I was just saying Hellboy, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, with the idea of Hellboy and being that they have Rasputin as their like catalyst, the guy who's
this is a series.
Wow, it is a series. There's a next time on Coed Confidential.
Next week.
Let me reiterate, there was a hell of a lot of Lincoln logging going on in Coed Confidential this year.
And you saw...
In case you don't know what Lincoln logging is.
And we saw the brown eye.
And I want you to, right now, Lincoln logging, explain. A short little discussion. Just in case you don't know what Lincoln logging is. I want you to raise your right hand, and I want you to make the Vulcan sign.
I think people should...
And then I want you to raise your left hand and make the Vulcan sign with that hand, too.
And then do the nanu nanu.
I didn't realize people didn't know that term. I don't know. Busty Cops 2, More Cops, Bigger Bust.
Yes.
That's the full title.
It's an adult drama.
There's nothing like Skinamax on a Saturday
I like
night.
adult drama. That's the only thing that got me through the 80s and my teenage years.
Okay, but when in Hellboy, you had like the best of all worlds, in my opinion. I really, really loved Hellboy. I thought it was a great comic, and I read the comic after the movie. I'm not like a true fan, but in so much as that I was waiting years for Hellboy to come out. I saw it afterwards, and I was like really impressed.
The movie had the lovely Selma Blair in it.
Yes, who is the hot nerd girl in all kinds of movies. She's the spurned other woman in a lot of films, and now she got to she plays a big role.
Trailer's out for the sequel.
No, I haven't seen it.
But
looks pretty good.
You have Nazis. First, you got Rasputin working with the Nazis to bring back hell on earth. If anybody could ever do that, I mean, I love the Nazi occult like stuff that they do in those movies. But yeah, this was great. And then the fact that they're trying to make that interdimensional gate. It's very out of tubes. The thing had like the crazy like tube fingered glove that the guy had. That Rasputin had, and it has like all the tubes on his hands. Like on his tips of his fingers, they're like they're vacuum tubes. It looked like, and he's trying to bring forth like what looked like to me a very Cthulhu-like monster from outer space. With tentacles and everything, and coming through and breaking up the ice.
Tentacles.
Because tentacles mean loving, and there's a lot of like good, solid anime that is all about like hell on earth tentacle rape, and like and that's a genre of its own, is tentacle rape.
Japanese love their calamari.
Mm-hmm.
Protein from the sea, man. It's all about the protein from the sea. So yeah, there's a lot of that, but yeah, with the fact that they had, Hellboy is actually like was brought in to facilitate like the destruction of the earth through this like
he's the
hell.
harbinger.
Yeah, the harbinger.
It's a good word.
I always screw that up. I always used to say harbinger, and I think that's just from my youth. Like I just didn't know how to pronounce it, but I never say it. It's not like one of my daily words, vocabulary.
Mm-hmm. Harbinger.
So yeah, he comes in, and his big old arm is the key that opens up, the gate, and his giant horns, which he files down. But like that crown that appears above his head when his horns are fully grown. It's like a flame crown that sits on top of his head. Mm-hmm. So he's to, be some kind of, like deity of sorts, I assume. But I just like that, that he's, going against his nature to.
Well, yeah, I think the whole point of it is that, I guess it's the whole thing between like destiny and free will.
Right.
Is that he can be what he wants to be.
Yeah.
And
but he fights off a lot of like demon-like things,
and he's
that
not
managed to make.
He's
their
not
way.
destined to be this thing that other people want him to be.
Right.
And need him, to be for their purposes. Yeah. So he can resist all that, and he can be his own Hellboy.
Right. But yeah, sure. the idea of that, and then and then in Hellraiser, you had like the puzzle box bringing forth like various aspects of the Cenobites dimension. When you turned, it would open a particular gate that would bring forth like some of the Cenobites that came through, like the obvious ones are like Pinhead, and then there's the guy with his mouth all stretched over the back of his
Chatterbox.
head. Yeah, Chatterbox guy. Chatterbox and Pinhead. So like basically, when you're a Cenobite, you get
the woman, and then I think the other one's called Butterball.
Yeah, you get a cutesy name and like a big leather bonded suit with a big, dress, essentially. And
a few years later, we discovered what the inspiration was for all that.
Very pale skin, yes. Yeah.
Actually, in the second movie, it also acted as a. It opened up a dimensional portal to the Cenobite domain.
That's right. Because it had the girl that was like the puzzle master. Like she was like autistic, but she could work the puzzle box to make it do whatever. I mean, imagine if you're sitting at home, you got a Rubik's Cube, and then you start fucking with it and you get it all out of whack, and then like hell starts being unleashed in your apartment, and you're like, holy shit, and you figure out it's the Rubik's Cube, and then you're trying to, like not only is hell like around you and fire and like demons hunting you down, and you're having to like try to get this Rubik's Cube back and like its order. I would bust it and then put it back together.
I would peel the little colored things off of one side and put them all back on
which
the
I
other.
thought, I would totally have done with the puzzle box. So I would have busted it and put it back together.
I always just solved my Rubik's Cube with a screwdriver.
But it made that weird like electrical thing whenever it would do, like they would push the button on it, and then,
it would open up and do that.
Yeah, and that just, I don't know. Clive Barker. Oh, yeah. Clive Barker. He has written quite a few books on hell being unleashed on Earth, as a matter of fact. I'm not as familiar with his written works as a lot of people are here in this room, but I can tell you most of the movies stink.
Well, yeah, that's true of most.
I think both of the two huge giant novels I read were having to do with like some sort of hell on Earth.
Did he do
The Great and Secret
In the Mouth
Show?
of Madness, or is that
No, that's sort of loosely based on Lovecraft.
Very,
from what I understand.
Very loosely based
Yeah,
on.
but that's not Clive Barker.
No.
It's,
that was it was somebody fairly big who directed it or produced it.
I just can't remember.
I never saw it. I wanted to though.
Yeah, because that's kind of hell on Earth. I mean, the guy writes whatever whatever he writes becomes real, and you can.
And if it was a really bad writer, that would be hell on
Sure,
Earth.
I mean, can you imagine if like Stephen King
or Michael
whatever
Michael Crichton?
Oh God! What if everything Michael Crichton wrote became like real? You'd have like
There's 5 different plagues going on.
Apes with lasers.
Apes with lasers, Ebola, Andromeda strain.
Because Congo was the word.
Well, no.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
man.
it wouldn't matter if everything he wrote, because it would only be like one of his first books was Andromeda strain, and everybody dies in that.
Yeah, but I can just imagine Congo,
Or Outbreak. What about Outbreak and Congo?
Was Outbreak a Michael
The monkeys. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he read an article in Discover magazine about Ebola, and then had to write
I think that was him.
had to write a novel using only the information available in a 2-page article. And
Jesus, that sounds like
that's pretty much how he works. It's like I read an article about the feasibility of cloning dinosaurs, so I'm going to write a book, but I'm not going to do any research. I'm just going to use this 2-page article, and I'll just gloss over all the scientific details.
Well, because who needs all that anyways? It's just filler.
People get bored with all the details.
The huge thing in Outbreak, the big mistake they made when they made that movie, is the monkey that brings Ebola to America is not an African monkey. It's a capuchin, which is South American, or actually Central American. So that just throws the whole movie off.
They didn't know that they were up against Adam, who knows his monkeys.
Yep.
Well, that's a good point.
The big difference, I mean, obviously, besides the type of monkey it is that New World monkeys' tails are prehensile and
Old World monkeys ain't.
Yep.
Oh. So they can't swing from their monkey? Or from their tails? From their
Correct.
No, they just use it as balance.
Correct. Old World monkeys do not have prehensile tails.
Uh-huh.
And that's evolution from way back.
So, I mean, if a If a virtual hell on earth does exist, are we doomed to some sort of demon slavery where they torment us, and or do they try to kill us all?
I think that's kind of what I was exploring. Yeah, when I was asking about sort of like Satan's master plan thing. Like, what do they really want? Do they just want to take over and like? Yeah, do they want to enslave us?
It's a weird motivation, isn't it?
And torment us? Do they want to kill us and eat us? I don't know. What do they want to do?
Maybe it's.
Do they want to zap us back to their world?
It's the final, like, living proof that God, or that Satan is around. I mean, I've always said this for years, and I hate this because what it winds up being is like, it's the priest that lost his faith, and now he's got to fight demons and stuff like that, but he's lost his faith, and I'm like, nothing would snap you back faster to your faith than knowing for certain that there was a devil actively trying to fuck with you.
Sure.
And send you to hell. You know? And then you would be like, oh yeah, I believe everything now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
the
shit. The shit like in The Exorcist. You know what I mean? It's like, if you would ever question any of that,
sure,
and then
like, oh yeah,
and then you spend 10 seconds in that room with that girl, and you're like, okay, I'm back.
Yeah, I mean, what's the problem here? I don't see it.
Exactly.
So, there was a movie in the 70s, and it was halfway decent, and I think it's called The Sentinel, and it's about like a guy in an apartment. And he's like a blind guy, and only one person has ever chosen to be the sentinel, and this is like the gate to hell or something like that. But what he does is he sits in this apartment and basically blocks the way from hell to reach Earth.
Does he just keep like his foot on the door or something?
He sits
in a chair up against the door to hell?
Well, he sits in a room and makes sure that nothing comes in this like gateway. And it's like he just sits there and watches this. I think it's a door in the movie. But he basically, that's all he does. And he sees the horrors that try to come through, and he has to stop them. And he's given charge to stop these, horrors from coming through. But yeah, it's like an apartment in New York or something. And he's got a...
Well, where else would hell come through?
Or New Jersey, Could be New Jersey,
Sure,
technically, it's New Jersey.
The Lincoln Tunnel.
They all blur together.
Yeah.
Well, Yankee states.
Hell would be New Jersey. But yeah, it's the idea of like the movie is basically that he does block like hell and demons from unleashing themselves upon the earth. So I assume that if he was not there, then these things would get loose and ramshackle.
Then it would be hijinks.
Hijinks.
Demonic hijinks.
Hellish hijinks.
I'm trying to think if Scooby-Doo and gang ever really fought off any like demons from hell.
They never really fought real monsters.
The best was the rock and roll demon, though. Like the one that looked like the Kiss monster.
Yeah, it's only in the recent, like the made for Cartoon Network movies.
Yeah, had they been actual like real,
that was like the novelty, like Zombie Island. They were fighting,
actual zombies
because they were always fake. But Spooky Space Kook is by far the coolest.
Oh, Space Kook is cool.
And the Gator Ghoul, the one in the swamp.
What about the race car driver?
10,000 Volt Ghost.
My Spooky Space Kook and the Gator Ghoul.
Yeah, Spooky Space Kook.
My favorite was
the Spooky Space Kook with the helmet, with the skull.
Yeah.
Like that was
and that cool spaceship. I love that.
My favorite was the Mummy because it's like coin.
That's the first season's all the really good ones.
Right.
The caveman frozen in ice.
Oh yeah.
Those are really great. No doubt. The actual first season of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? When it was called Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? That's the best.
Right. Yeah, I highly agree.
Beyond that,
but then they never really had to fight off like hell dimension demons or anything like that. Buffy did. Buffy fought off quite a few,
Well, she had the Hellmouth,
and
But then they had to keep upping the ante, so to speak, every season.
Oh, sure. Well, they had the high school got destroyed by the giant snake that was the teacher. Or no, he was
the mayor.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure our high school had a hell mouth.
You know that the funny thing that I was watching
right under the cafeteria.
Yeah.
I was watching like online actually, watching like the first season. And I kept trying to figure out when like that first season when they have the vampire who's underground and they have to do the harvesting or whatever. It's the maestro from Seinfeld.
Yes.
Or maestro, not the maestro.
Yes, it is.
Is it really?
Yep.
That's funny.
And then one of the guys is obviously that really big guy who was in everything. His first big break was China Beach, where he played I think it was a Lerp or a Green Beret.
Who, Patrick Warburton? Putty?
No. The big guy who's like... He's the main bad giant vampire in that few episodes of Buffy.
That I can't remember.
And he was like
I remember I remember the guy who plays the Master, who you're talking about.
And he was on X-Files, and he's the big guy with the gigantic jaw.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He's the one of the guy that played one of the alien dudes with the spike.
Yeah, from the X-Files.
You know, they had to get him in the back of the neck on the X-Files. Remember that dude with the giant face? He's got like a big head. Oh, I know there's people out there going, "Oh, I know exactly who that is."
I guess I didn't watch much X-Files actually. But
there's also like those that try to keep this from happening to the rest of us in the spirit world,
like the Pope.
Yeah, like the Pope
and Jack Burton.
Jack Burton
and Uncle Egg.
And Uncle Egg. But there's there's like Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange tries to keep hell from unleashing itself upon the earth. He fights Dormammu. Dormammu's like that guy from he's like he's the dude with the flaming head. From Marvel Comics, like his head's on fire.
Flaming heads are never good.
Yeah, all you see is like eyes and a mouth and a big ball of flame for a head.
It's like the Heat Miser.
Yeah, kind of like that. And but he fights him off, and then there's his parody counterpart in the Venture Brothers. What's the guy that's renting the apartment from Dr. Venture?
Dr. Orpheus.
Dr. Orpheus.
Dr. Byron Orpheus?
Yeah. His totally hot, like, goth chick daughter.
Yeah. Yes. But that, he's...
When Hank's like, I'll see you in heck.
That sort of good wizard, sort of necromancer.
Right.
Necromancer with a heart of gold.
Well, they have the team that they have together that they fight. There's him and Jefferson Twilight, Blackula.
Oh, and the Alchemist.
And the Alchemist.
The Order of the Triad.
Yeah, the Order of the Triad.
Jefferson Midnight.
That's Jefferson Twilight.
Is it?
Jefferson Twilight, Blackula hunter. And he goes, "Can you kill a Dracula?" "I don't hunt Draculas." "You hunt black Draculas?" "No, they're Blackulas."
And the Alchemist, yeah.
Yeah. And the Alchemist, right, yeah. Who's voiced by the same guy who does Master Shake on Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Aqua Teen Hunger Force has unleashed hell on Earth before, too. They had
So it was the... it wasn't Hell on Earth, it was that Norwegian lake troll or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
On
Metalocalypse, of course, yeah.
The finish. Mr. Crackish.
Mr. Crackish was coming, yeah.
Yeah. That's a popular theme.
You
don't get much more dramatic, I guess, as themes go. Than Hell on Earth.
I have had that.
What an apocalypse to have, of all the demons, coming up at once and just start unleashing chaos. And I mean, it's a totally different apocalypse than like nuclear apocalypse or disease or
or
any of that or zombies. It's like full blown like big winged demons like with you're like oh my god.
And if you get the
what do you do at that point?
Like I said, with like the lakes of fire, lakes of blood, everything's burning and spewing and smoking and
yeah,
it smells like farts.
Yeah.
Well, did you ever see the movie, the Seventh Sign with Demi Moore and Jürgen Prochnow, where he plays kind of a Jesus Christ like guy, and I think he's supposed to be Jesus, isn't he? Or
it's alluded to that he is.
Yeah, because they show him kind of like being crucified at one point, and like he breaks open all the seals, and things start happening, like blood. Like the rivers turn to blood or something like that. And
it's one of the lakes, and then oh man, it's been a while.
And then like rain. What's all the 7 signs anyways? It rains fish.
It's not 7 signs; they're 7 seals.
Yeah, but each one of them unleashes like a certain thing.
I know the 7th one is the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Or those are the last ones, maybe.
It's like It's like a deal at McDonald's, like every week there's a different prize in the Happy Meal. This week there's locusts. Awesome.
I don't know what they all are. I read it years ago, but
yeah, I don't know either. I mean, we do this every time we do a show about religion. We're like, I don't know. If I go into a church, I'll burst into flames. Like. I did go to a Catholic church over the week of Christmas, and I did not burst into flames. But I summarily was not allowed to get to receive the communion either. I wanted to.
See, if you had tried, a force field would have popped up.
Well, I was told that I said, man, I want to go get communion, and the person I was with was saying, no, you can't. And I was like, well, why not? How are they going to know? And she was basically saying, well, it's a matter of like, you shouldn't. And I was like, so I can.
Plus, you don't.
They're not going to like if I don't give them like the secret handshake.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You don't have the right ring. You have to show them your decoder ring, your Catholic decoder ring.
My Catholic decoder ring.
I say the cleric would have turned you.
Yeah, that's right.
He would have pulled out his mace and smote you.
Well, we had like snacks in the car on the way.
Communion's not a snack.
But you were still hungry and you wanted some crackers?
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Crackers and grape juice?
We had some easy cheese, right? And I was thinking how like it would be very funny, although probably not to my host and her mother. And
because they're believers?
Well, let's just say they're good Catholics. Okay, so...
then they're practicing.
And I shouldn't have, but if I'd have brought the easy cheese in with me and then they'd had, given me, communion and I'd have,
given you a Jesus cracker?
Put cheese on it and then ate it. Then.
Jesus with cheese?
I don't think that would be necessarily, like, blasphemous, though.
This is good Jesus.
But it needs cheese.
Cheese. But yeah, I don't think they would have liked it much, and I think I would have caused like a problem. And it's around Christmas time. I don't think. If I haven't already like secured my place in hell, that probably would have done it.
Well, that's what I was say. Like if if and when hell on earth occurs, for me personally, I hope it's not. I hope it's not one of that. I hope it's not that overtly Christian concept of hell on earth, because I will actively fight it, but I don't want to have to team up with those people.
Sure. You're going to feel like a dick having to go, oh man, Pat Robertson was right.
I don't want to have to team up with those kind of people.
When you get like you get your black Kevlar vest, and you get like a Fritz helmet with a black cover, and you put big white crosses on each one.
Oh, that's the best.
Ready.
And then you just have your scapulas.
Scapulas? Explain what a scapula is.
It's kind of a... Basically, it's like a little necklace with like a little card on it. You know what holy cards are?
Yeah.
It's kind of like 2 holy cards that you wear around your neck.
I know for a fact why I'm going to hell. As a matter of fact, once I was preparing for a party. It was a New Year's Eve party, and I went to the Tonini store, which is a religious store that sells all sorts of religious items, and I was in there buying the cards of which you speak. And they were all over. They have pictures of the saints and like the hand with like the stigmata with the little saints that's standing on each one of the fingers. It's all the icons and stuff like that, and But there are some smoking hot chicks from like Catholic schools that work at like the religious store that I was going to, and and I was hanging out extra long to like.
You were having impure thoughts about them?
I was having impure thoughts about like
you wanted to corrupt them,
high school Catholic girls working in a religious store.
You wanted
while I was buying religious items for my voodoo ritual.
You wanted
altar.
to corrupt. You wanted to corrupt their souls.
Yeah, I am
you?
totally in a very bad way. But yes, I mean,
you
I
wanted
did
to
have impure thoughts.
You wanted to bend them over and corrupt their souls repeatedly.
Wow, that's
didn't you?
My friend NJ was thinking about getting a car wash from the local, one of the local all-girl Catholic high schools that was having a car wash. Standing up on the side of the road, wearing next to nothing, or holding up signs, for car washes, and he was going to turn around and go get it, and he wound up like his car broke down on him. So he thinks God was actively punishing him.
The Lord works in mysterious ways, doesn't he?
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a scenario I'm going to have to answer to. They're going to go, hey, remember that time you bought all those cards for your voodoo altar and you were in the store checking out the high school girls? Yeah, you're pretty much going to hell.
When you get hit by a lightning bolt.
Yep.
No, that's Zeus.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been... Yeah, I mean, if that's the worst they got, I'd take lightning. I just don't want to be ripped apart and my entrails eaten in front of me by, like, winged demons. Not really big into that.
Repeatedly?
See,
over and over and over and over?
I want
or have your eyes plucked out?
I really want Hell on Earth, if it's around, to look like a Dio cover. Like the cover of a Dio album. More than anything else. That big, like, horned demon giving, like, the evil eye. And
what if
Ronnie on a giant chain?
Ronnie on a throne floating in the sky.
Yes.
Yeah, what if Hell on Earth was like an Oz fest?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that, I don't know.
With, like, Slayer playing really loud in the atmosphere, and you're like, holy shit. This is the greatest thing ever. The sky is blood red and Slayer. Like.
I was going to say, that's not hell. That's...
Wow. You're going to come outside, you're going to be like, holy man, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And then, like, winged demons flying all around. You're going to be like...
As long as you're not having...
If they were just rocking out, though.
I know. I mean, but yeah. I mean, I would hope, like, something like War Ensemble would be the soundtrack to, like, Hell on Earth.
As long as it's not...
when it's starting and you're like, oh my God.
As long as there aren't entrails and eyeballs, for eternity.
Heavy metal has really outlined this very well as to what, Hell on Earth is probably going to, if it ever were to happen, what it's going to be like. And those are the guys you want to hook up with. Those, you don't want to hook up with the Pat Robertsons of this world, because they're the first ones to go, in my opinion. They're probably going to get, like, picked off really fast. I mean, I just cannot see those guys, the Pat Robertsons and the Jerry Falwells of this world, being like, the front line defense against evil.
Because those guys, they've been relying on God and Jesus all their lives to do everything for them.
Right.
And that's their whole thing about everything. You just give in and let God and Jesus take care of it all.
The front line's going to be a bunch of Jesuit priests.
But when the Vatican
Sacred daggers.
I say when the Vatican unleashes the storm Jesuits,
The storm Jesuits.
that's the shock troops to fight off.
Right.
When the storm Jesuits get deployed.
Oh boy.
Then when the black helicopters come over, that's the real black helicopters for you.
Full of long road Jesuit like commandos.
Yep.
There's oddly enough, it's semi-legendary. One of those like ancient books, not ancient, but like really old books that are supposed to exist. That whether or not they're a story or whatever, but there was supposedly a manual for Jesuits and like fighting, and that's where the term cloak and dagger comes from.
Really?
Yeah.
For the cloaks that they
Because it was a martial art where they would like distract you with their cloaks and whatever. Because they still do wear. You've seen a modern Jesuit?
Yeah.
They still wear the long frocks, but they used to wear really really big ones.
So they would flip it around, and you'd be like, "Whoa, giant cloak!" And then a dagger.
The
and
Friends of Jesus is the technical name of the order.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Yep.
Well, I hope that they would stave off any.
They're the ones.
Well, the Dominicans too.
I'm just hoping my Defense of the Dark Arts teacher is able to, like empower me.
Isn't an incompetent or a werewolf?
Yeah, right.
Because that won't be at all good.
So I guess that we've come to the conclusion of the show, and what have we learned? What have we learned, folks?
Don't build a house on an Indian burial ground.
With the gate to hell, and where you're going to put the.
And if you
don't read the liner notes from heavy metal albums.
And if you do, don't dig a hole in the backyard to put an in-ground
Whilst
swimming pool in.
Sacrificing.
Listen to heavy metal, but never read the liner notes.
Or don't actually do anything the liner notes tell you to do.
Don't speak them out loud while listening to it, while
playing it backwards.
While playing it backwards and burning candles in a hole in your backyard.
Black candles. You're okay with candles.
Okay.
Regular candles.
It's a good idea to know at least one, preferably two old Chinese guys, because they're probably wizards.
Right. Like Mako.
Or Uncle Egg.
Yeah.
Ronnie James Dio is a wizard.
Yes. You should always have a Dio album handy, just as a audio reference of how to deal with any psychic anomaly.
Sure. You don't. We haven't confirmed that you can physically combat beings from hell, but give it a try. So a shotgun and a sword or an ice axe can't hurt.
Yeah, just get it blessed. I mean, when in doubt, bless your weapon.
If you're gonna be tormented for eternity, go down fighting.
Yeah.
Wasn't cold iron supposed to kill demons too?
Silver's
werewolves.
Yeah, but I mean,
Silver's bad for vampires too.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't that that whole thing? I don't even know what cold iron was.
I don't know what.
I don't know what a silver sword would cost, but I don't know.
But I've heard that too about iron. But I don't know what it is.
It'd be really brittle too.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I read that if you wanted to make silver bullets, the best method would be to machine them. To pour them in a mold probably wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't get an accurate caliber for the bullet. It would be best.
Because when it cooled, it would probably contract. They'd be undersized.
Right.
Probably to get it to bore, you'd need to cast it oversized and then machine it down. Mm-hmm. I would think. That's just a guess, but.
So I don't think you can Lone Ranger it and go out and why did the Lone Ranger use silver bullets anyway?
Because the late 19th century was full of vampires. They were fucking everywhere out west.
So Lone Ranger had to hunt down some vampires and shit?
He and Tonto were shooting vampires all the time.
That would be the best story ever. Lone Ranger versus vampire hordes.
We need more stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Speaking of crossovers in fiction, I have one. I have this book. I haven't read it, and I just refound it because I moved something on my shelf, and it was behind something else. But it's I can't remember what it's called, but it's H.P. Lovecraft stories. That whole theme, written along the lines of the protagonist is Sherlock Holmes. It's like, what was it, Baker Street? Was where he lived?
Like he's fighting off like Cthulhu and stuff.
I guess.
I bet the Lone Ranger had the silver bullets for lycanthropes because all Indians are shapeshifters.
True.
Like
Skinwalkers is what they call
like
them.
the Jews.
True.
No, the Jews.
Boy, I bet that people really think we hate Jews on this show. The way we talk.
They just wear yarmulkes to hide their horns.
I hope people get our sense of humor.
And they get their fangs filed down. So
they're probably like, oh my God, these guys are...
They can tuck their tail in. The yarmulke hides their horns and they get their fangs filed down. As long as they shave every day, no one notices all the strange, long, hairy faces they have. So they can file down their claws. They can, if they work hard enough, they can blend in with normal people.
Yep.
True. So in a nutshell, when hell on earth comes, you're probably screwed unless you know an old Chinese wizard.
Yep.
Or you're a Jesuit.
Or you live next door to Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah. So, keep
Ronnie
Ronnie
Dio's
James
neighborhood
Dio as your MySpace friend. Message the hell out of him when, the day comes. When
I wonder who Ronnie James Dio neighbor actually is.
Neighbor of the Beast?
That's apartment 668.
Yeah. 668. Oh, yeah.
Doesn't he live in a castle?
He should. If he doesn't, I'll be like
a very small castle.
No, he lives in a big castle. It just makes him look small.
He lives on like one of the locks in Scotland.
Yeah.
He has to.
I'm sure he has a castle.
He doesn't have like an apartment in L.A. because I'm just going to be pissed if he does.
Dude, Dio lives in a fucking castle.
If Dio doesn't
he could live in a cave
live the goth
in the side of a mountain.
I am going to be.
He lives in a hole in the ground.
It's not a nasty, dirty wet hole.
It's not a dry, sandy hole.
It's a hobbit hole, and that means comfort.
I knew he would. I knew he knew where I was going with that. Anyway.
Oh man.
That's all I got.
Oh, we brought it up before, but...
Oh, let me tell you, Busty Cops 2 is not nearly the romp that...
No, it's really disappointing.
Co-ed Confidential?
Co-ed Confidentials was, yeah.
I can't wait till next week's action-packed episode of Co-ed Confidential.
Hey, we learned about Lincoln Logging, too.
I didn't learn.
No. But I
just saw.
I learned about it.
Oh, you learned about it. I taught. I spread the word.
Derek taught me about Lincoln Logging. I don't know if I like the sound of that.
I didn't realize that was an obscure term.
I'd never heard it before.
Like I said, I don't know what they call it.
I've heard of clam bumping and
making love.
Making love? No, that's not making love, man.
Clit rubbing.
Oh, good.
Those are, I would say, preternatural breasts.
Oh, yeah. Preternatural.
Those are, yeah.
Yeah, the Busty Cops 2 boobs are not as busty or...
Well, they're busty, but
they're busty, but they're all plastic.
Yeah. One of the nipples is higher than the other one on the
Was she in a car wreck or what?
I don't know. Anyway. From Destructomundo, this has been James.
And Adam.
And me.
Yep.
And
say your prayers.
And those. Ooh.
Listen to Dio.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. Lincoln Logging. All right. Good night.